main candidate, Sheikh Ahmed, who is the incumbent, got 64 votes. A bit of a dark horse, an opposition candidate called Hassan Sheikh Mahmoud got 60 votes, which is a real surprise. I think
a dark horse is a candidate or a contestant for some event who is not very well known, but who also looks like he or she or it may have the potential to win. It can also refer to a winner who nobody thought was going to win. So after they win, they refer to the winner as the dark horse candidate, whether they referred to the person as that before or not. The idea comes from horse racing, where someone would have a very powerful horse or a ringer, and they would try to convince the people in general that this horse was not very likely to win at all. That way they could get a very high return on their bet and make a lot of money. So the idea of dark referred to not knowing that much about the horse. And at the same time, what would happen is sometimes the owners of the horse, they would actually dye the horse dark. So it wouldn't look like the horse that people were already familiar with that they knew was a good horse. So the idea of dark refers to not having much information about something. Similarly to if you were in a dark room, you might not be able to see very much. Or if a television station were to go dark, it means that they are no longer broadcasting a signal. A lot of people thought that Obama was a dark horse candidate for the presidency, but that was not completely true because he had a very good reputation in Chicago prior to becoming elected as senator. He was elected by an extremely high margin, and as soon as he became senator and right after he gave this great speech at the Democratic National Convention in 2004, people were already convinced he was going to make a great presidential candidate. So in that sense, he wasn't really a dark horse candidate at all because he had a very popular following from the very beginning. We're having a beer contest next week, and there's two main beers that people think are going to win, but there's also this dark horse IPA that I'm putting my money on. I'm convinced it's going to win.
Y'all see me eating all my foods. I never said they were good. Don't get it twisted.
To get something twisted means to misperceive or misunderstand something to draw the wrong conclusions. It could also mean to purposefully twist something or mischaracterize something to say that it's different than it really is. It comes from twisting an object, which, like a piece of cloth, which causes the piece of cloth to distort, or to twist a rope, which causes it to knot up. So when something becomes twisted, it becomes misshapen and different than its normal appearance. So if somebody tells you don't get it twisted, they're trying to tell you don't get it wrong or don't get it differently than what they are telling you it is supposed to be like. A lot of people get deficit spending completely twisted. The United States is borrowing the money from itself, so they can borrow as much money as they want to. And similarly, it's helping to provide people with jobs. It's feeding the economy. So to think that deficit spending is going to lead to the breakdown of the money supply is just completely silly and twisted. I was supposed to meet my friends for dinner, but unfortunately I got the plans all twisted. I thought we were going to meet at the downtown restaurant, But it turns out that we were going to meet at the Uptown restaurant with the same name. So by the time I showed up at the wrong place, waited around for people to show up, and figured out what was going wrong, dinner was almost over at that point. So it's unfortunate that I got everything so twisted.
Elvis won his first UFC fight against submission specialist Jeremy Horn, which most people wrote off as a fluke.
A fluke refers to an event that is either lucky or unlucky. That's not expected, not likely to be repeated. I tend to think the idea comes from the fluke of a whale, which is the tail of a whale. So if you're going along in your whale boat, every once in a while, a whale's going to come along and smack you with their big tail and flip you all into the water. So in that case, a fluke would be an unlucky event. But in other cases, a fluke would be a lucky event. For example, if somebody going after a whale happened to see the fluke of a whale, that would be a lucky event. Or to carry that further, if somebody got a job as a fluke, it means that just some random chance event resulted in them getting a job. And a lot of times when people are successful, they have a very difficult time trying to prove that their success was not a fluke, that they actually deserved to get their success. Throughout the years, there have been a lot of cases where musicians managed to come up with songs that were very, very popular, known as one-hit wonders, which ended up becoming flukes because the one song that they came up with was the only song that anybody has ever heard them do, either before or since. Last month, I made this amazing sale, sold just an incredible amount. I made over $10,000 commission on the one sale, which was a total fluke. I just happened to be the only person in the office when the customer called, and by the time the other salesman arrived to try to take the sale from me, I already sold it, so it was too late. A few years ago, the Chicago White Sox actually won the World Series. Most people consider it to be a complete fluke. They just happened to get into a lucky string of playing against teams whose players were injured, and somehow they managed to win. Now, if the Cubs were to ever win the World Series, that would certainly be a fluke, because the Cubs have never won a World Series, or at least not for 100 years or more. Most people think it would be less of a fluke if it snowed in Key West than if the Cubs won the World Series, or even make the playoffs.
That's all for today. Tom Taylor is an ESL tutor. He teaches English in the United States and outside, all over the world, using Skype. He can be reached at his website, which is
ESL-fullsteamahead.com.
Click on this link and check out his website and email with questions. Thank you, Tom, and I'll talk to you next time.
Thank you.